Once upon a time, in a lush green forest, there stood a magnificent tree known as the kindness tree. Its branches stretched wide, and its leaves shimmered with colors of compassion. Animals of all shapes and sizes gathered around the tree, drawn by its warmth and love. One sunny morning, a little squirrel named Sammy scurried up to the kindness tree, his tiny paws filled with acorns. "Hello, kindness tree," he chirped. "I've brought you some acorns." The kindness tree smiled and gently rustled its leaves. "Thank you, Sammy," it whispered. "Your gift is appreciated." Sammy felt a warm glow in his heart as he watched the kindness tree accept his offering. He knew that the tree would share his acorns with those in need. As the day went on, more animals came to visit the kindness tree. A family of rabbits brought fresh carrots, while a group of birds sang sweet songs from its branches. Each gift was met with gratitude and kindness, and the tree's love only grew stronger. But one day, a storm swept through the forest, leaving the kindness tree battered and broken. Its branches were torn, and its leaves lay scattered on the ground. The animals gathered around, their hearts heavy with sadness. "We must help the kindness tree," said Sammy, his voice filled with determination, "just as it has helped us." The animals worked together, gathering branches and leaves and carefully tending to the wounded tree. They watered its roots with love and whispered words of encouragement. Weeks passed, and slowly but surely, the kindness tree began to heal. Its branches grew stronger, and new leaves began to bloom. The forest was filled with joy as the animals rejoiced in the tree's recovery. "Thank you, my dear friends," said the kindness tree, its voice filled with gratitude. "Your kindness has saved me." From that day on, the animals continued to gather around the kindness tree, sharing their gifts and spreading love throughout the forest. And though storms may come and go, the bonds of friendship and kindness would always remain strong. And so, the kindness tree stood tall, a beacon of love and compassion for all who passed by. And in the hearts of the animals, its spirit would live on forever. In a cozy little town nestled between rolling hills and sparkling streams, there lived two best friends named Lily and Tom. Lily had golden curls that danced in the sunlight, while Tom had twinkling blue eyes that sparkled with mischief. Together, they explored the wonders of their world, hand in hand. One sunny morning, as they skipped through the meadow, Lily spotted something shining amidst the grass. "Look, Tom," she exclaimed, bending down to pick up a radiant sunbeam trapped in a glass jar. Tom's eyes widened with wonder. "It's so beautiful," he whispered, reaching out to touch the warm glow. From that day on, Lily and Tom carried the jar of sunshine with them wherever they went. They shared its light with their friends, casting rainbows across the sky and bringing warmth to even the coldest days. But as time passed, the jar began to grow dim. Its once bright glow faded to a soft shimmer, and Lily and Tom worried that their precious sunshine might disappear forever. "We must find a way to share our sunshine," said Lily, her brow furrowed with concern. "But how?" Tom pondered for a moment before his face lit up with a brilliant idea. "I know," he exclaimed. "We can plant seeds of kindness and watch them bloom into rays of sunshine for everyone to enjoy." With renewed hope, Lily and Tom set out to spread kindness throughout their town. They helped their neighbors tend to their gardens, shared smiles with strangers passing by, and offered hugs to those in need. And as they did, something magical began to happen. The town blossomed with laughter and love, and the once dim jar of sunshine grew brighter than ever before. "We did it!" cried Lily, her eyes shining with joy. Tom grinned and squeezed her hand. "Together, we can make the world a brighter place." From that day on, Lily and Tom continued to share their sunshine with everyone they met. And though the jar may have been small, its light shone far and wide, illuminating the hearts of all who basked in its glow. And so, in a cozy little town, nestled between rolling hills and sparkling streams, two best friends showed the world that a little kindness can go a long way in sharing sunshine. In the heart of a lush forest, nestled between tall trees and fragrant flowers, there lay a magical place known as Empathy Pond. Its waters shimmered with hues of blue and green, reflecting the beauty of the world around it. One sunny morning, a little duck named Daisy waddled up to the edge of Empathy Pond, her feathers ruffled with worry. She had lost her favorite feather, a gift from her mother, and she didn't know where to find it. As Daisy gazed into the pond's tranquil waters, she saw something surprising. Her reflection shimmered back at her, but it wasn't alone. Beside her stood a gentle deer named Danny, his eyes filled with compassion. "Hello, Daisy," said Danny softly. "I see that you're feeling sad. Is there anything I can do to help?" Daisy blinked in surprise, touched by Danny's kindness. "I lost my favorite feather," she confessed. "It was a gift from my mother, and now I don't know where to find it." Danny nodded understandingly. "I may not have wings to fly, but I can help you search," he offered. "Together, we'll find your feather." And so, Daisy and Danny set out on a journey around Empathy Pond, searching high and low for the lost feather. They checked beneath bushes, behind rocks, and even in the branches of tall trees, but there was no sign of it anywhere. As they searched, Daisy couldn't help but feel grateful for Danny's kindness. He may not have been able to fly like her, but his willingness to help meant more to her than he could ever know. Finally, just as they were about to give up hope, Daisy spotted a glimmer of gold nestled among the reeds by the water's edge. With a joyful quack, she reached out and plucked her feather from the ground, her heart soaring with happiness. "I found it," she exclaimed, her eyes shining with gratitude. Danny smiled warmly. "I'm glad I could help," he said. "Remember, Daisy, true friendship is about being there for each other, no matter what." And as they made their way back to Empathy Pond, Daisy knew that she would always treasure the bond she shared with Danny, for it was a reflection of the love and kindness that flowed through the magical waters of Empathy Pond. In a bustling little town filled with laughter and love, there lived a curious rabbit named Cooper. With floppy ears and a twitching nose, he hopped through life with boundless energy and a heart full of dreams. One sunny day, as Cooper bounded through the meadow, he noticed something peculiar. The other animals were gathered around a tree, their faces filled with worry. "What's wrong?" asked Cooper, his nose twitching with concern. "We're running out of space to store our food for the winter," explained Olivia, a wise old owl. "If we don't find a solution soon, we'll go hungry." Cooper's ears perked up with excitement. "I have an idea," he exclaimed. "What if we build a big storage shed where we can keep all our food safe and sound?" The other animals looked at each other, their eyes wide with surprise. "But how will we build it?" asked Benny, a strong bear with a heart of gold. Cooper grinned. "We'll work together," he declared. "With teamwork and determination, anything is possible." And so, the animals set to work, gathering materials and putting Cooper's big idea into action. They chopped wood, hammered nails, and painted walls until, at last, their storage shed stood tall and proud against the setting sun. As winter approached, the animals filled the shed with food, grateful for Cooper's ingenuity and the bonds of friendship that had brought them together. But just as they were about to celebrate their success, a fierce storm swept through the meadow, threatening to tear their precious shed apart. "We must protect our food," cried Cooper, his ears drooping with worry. Without hesitation, the animals banded together, bracing against the wind and holding the shed steady with all their might. And though the storm raged on, they refused to let go, their friendship giving them strength. Hours passed, and finally, the storm began to subside. The animals breathed a sigh of relief as they looked around at the damage. Their shed was battered and bruised, but still standing strong thanks to their unwavering determination. "We did it!" cheered Cooper, his heart swelling with pride. And as the sun rose on a new day, the animals knew that no matter what challenges they faced, they would always find a way to overcome them together. For in a bustling little town filled with laughter and love, Cooper's big idea had taught them that friendship truly is the greatest treasure of all. In a vast ocean, far away from the bustling shores of human civilization, there lay a mystical island known as Inclusion Island. It was a place where creatures of all shapes, sizes, and colors lived together in harmony, embracing their differences and celebrating their similarities. One sunny day, a curious dolphin named Denny swam up to the shores of Inclusion Island, his fins tingling with excitement. He had heard tales of the island's beauty and the warmth of its inhabitants, and he longed to experience it for himself. As Denny explored the island, he marveled at the sights and sounds around him. Birds of every hue sang sweet melodies from the trees, while colorful fish darted through the crystal-clear waters of the lagoon. Everywhere he looked, Denny saw creatures of all kinds living and playing together in perfect harmony. But as Denny swam deeper into the heart of Inclusion Island, he noticed something peculiar. A group of seahorses huddled together in a secluded corner of the lagoon, their faces filled with sadness. "What's wrong?" asked Denny, his voice gentle with concern. The leader of the seahorses, a wise old creature named Sebastian, sighed heavily. "We feel like outsiders here on Inclusion Island," he admitted. "Our colors are duller, and our fins are shorter than those of the other creatures. We fear we don't belong." Denny's heart ached at the sight of his new friend's pain. He knew that true friendship meant accepting others for who they were no matter their differences. We may look different on the outside, but on the inside, we're all the same, said Denny, his voice firm with conviction. We're all creatures of Inclusion Island, and together, we can overcome any obstacle. With Denny's encouragement, the seahorses began to venture out of their hiding place, joining the other creatures of Inclusion Island in their daily activities. They danced with the dolphins, soared with the birds, and laughed with the fish, their hearts filled with joy and acceptance. And as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months, the bonds of friendship grew stronger on Inclusion Island. No longer did the seahorses feel like outsiders. They were valued members of the island community, cherished for the unique gifts they brought to the table. And so, in the heart of the vast ocean, Inclusion Island stood as a shining example of friendship and acceptance. We can truly create a world where everyone belongs. In a cozy little village tucked away in the rolling hills, there was a special place called Compassion Corner. It was a small patch of grass where the sun always seemed to shine a little brighter and the flowers bloomed a little sweeter. One day, a young rabbit named Rosie hopped over to Compassion Corner with a heavy heart. She had heard that her friend, Tommy the turtle, was feeling sad because he couldn't keep up with the other animals when they played games. As Rosie sat in Compassion Corner, pondering how to help her friend, she noticed a gentle breeze rustling the leaves of a nearby tree. It whispered to her, "True friendship is about understanding and compassion." With those words in mind, Rosie set off to find Tommy. She found him sitting by the edge of the pond, his shell drooping with sadness. "Hello, Tommy," said Rosie softly, sitting down beside him. "I heard you're feeling down. Is there anything I can do to help?" Tommy looked up, surprised to see Rosie there. "Oh, Rosie, I just wish I could join in the games with the other animals," he sighed. "But I'm so slow, and my shell makes it hard for me to keep up." Rosie nodded sympathetically. "I understand, Tommy. But you know what? Each of us has our own strengths and weaknesses, and that's what makes us special." Suddenly, an idea popped into Rosie's head. How about we create a game that everyone can play, regardless of speed or shell size? Tommy's eyes lit up with excitement. "That sounds amazing, Rosie. But what kind of game could we play?" Rosie grinned mischievously. "I have just the idea. Follow me." Together, Rosie and Tommy gathered the other animals of the village and explained their plan. They would have a race, but instead of running, they would take turns rolling a ball to the finish line. That way, everyone could participate, regardless of their abilities. As the race began, laughter filled the air as the animals cheered each other on. And when they reached the finish line, they all celebrated together, knowing that true friendship and compassion had triumphed. From that day on, Compassion Corner became a place where animals of all kinds came together to support and uplift each other. And Rosie and Tommy's friendship grew stronger, fueled by their shared understanding and compassion for one another. In a bustling forest filled with towering trees and chirping birds, there lived two inseparable friends named Lily, the rabbit, and Milo, the squirrel. They did everything together, from exploring hidden trails to sharing secrets under the moonlight. One sunny morning, as Lily and Milo were gathering berries near the edge of the forest, they stumbled upon a tiny bird struggling to build a nest. "Oh dear," said Lily, her ears drooping with concern. "It looks like this little bird needs our help." Milo nodded in agreement. "Let's lend a hand," he chirped, scampering up a nearby tree to collect twigs and leaves for the nest. Together, Lily and Milo worked tirelessly, weaving the twigs into a cozy nest for their feathered friend. And when they were done, the bird chirped happily, snuggling into its new home with a grateful smile. From that day on, the bird, named Bella, became a part of Lily and Milo's adventures. She flew ahead, scouting for new trails and warning them of any dangers lurking nearby. But one stormy night, as Lily and Milo were fast asleep in their burrow, a fierce gust of wind tore through the forest, uprooting trees and scattering debris in its wake. When Lily and Milo woke up the next morning, they were horrified to find their burrow destroyed, their home reduced to a pile of rubble. "Oh no," whispered Lily, tears welling up in her eyes. "What are we going to do?" Milo's heart sank as he looked around at the devastation. But then he remembered something important. "We still have each other, Lily," he said, his voice filled with determination. "And that's all that matters." With Milo's encouragement, Lily and Milo set out to rebuild their home, gathering branches and leaves to construct a new burrow. And though it was hard work, they knew they could overcome any obstacle as long as they had each other by their side. As the days turned into weeks, Lily and Milo's bond grew stronger than ever. They laughed and played together, their friendship a beacon of hope in the midst of adversity. And when their new burrow was finally complete, they knew that no matter what challenges they faced, they would always be loyal friends forever. For in the end, it was their love and loyalty that truly made them rich beyond measure. In a vibrant forest filled with towering trees and colorful flowers, there stood two special trees named Timmy and Tina. They were known throughout the forest for their strength, wisdom, and most importantly, their unwavering friendship. One sunny morning, as Timmy and Tina swayed gently in the breeze, they noticed something peculiar. A group of animals was gathered around them, their faces filled with worry. "What's wrong, friends?" asked Timmy, his branches rustling with concern. "We're trying to build a new home for our friend, Sammy the squirrel, but we can't reach the highest branches," explained Emily, the elephant, her trunk hanging low with disappointment. Timmy and Tina exchanged a knowing glance. "Don't worry, we're here to help," said Tina, her leaves shimmering with determination. "Together, we can accomplish anything." And so, the animals and the trees worked together, using their strengths to overcome any obstacles that came their way. Timmy and Tina lifted heavy branches with their sturdy trunks, while the animals scurried up and down, gathering materials and hammering nails. As the sun began to set, the animals stepped back to admire their handiwork. High above the forest floor, nestled among the branches of Timmy and Tina, stood Sammy's new home, a cozy nest made from leaves and twigs, with a breathtaking view of the forest below. "Thank you, Timmy and Tina," said Sammy, his eyes shining with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you." Timmy and Tina nodded, their branches swaying in the wind. "It was our pleasure, Sammy," they replied. "True friendship means helping each other in times of need." From that day on, Timmy and Tina's treehouse became a gathering place for all the animals of the forest. They laughed and played together, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. And as they watched the sunset from the branches of their beloved trees, they knew that as long as they had each other, they could overcome any challenge that came their way. For together, they were not just trees, but a shining example of the power of teamwork and friendship. In a charming town nestled between rolling hills and babbling brooks, there was a delightful street known as Acceptance Avenue. It was a place where creatures of all shapes, sizes, and colors lived together in peace and harmony, embracing each other's differences and celebrating their similarities. One sunny morning, a little bunny named Bella hopped down Acceptance Avenue, her ears perked up with excitement. She had heard that a new family was moving in, and she couldn't wait to welcome them to the neighborhood. As Bella rounded the corner, she saw a group of animals gathered around a cozy burrow, their faces filled with curiosity. Among them was a family of hedgehogs, their quills bristling nervously as they peeked out from behind their door. "Welcome to Acceptance Avenue," chirped Bella, her voice warm with kindness. "We're so happy to have you here." The hedgehog family looked at Bella with wide eyes, surprised by her friendly greeting. "Thank you," said Mrs. Hedgehog, her voice tinged with uncertainty. "We were worried that we wouldn't fit in because we're a little different from the other animals." Bella smiled reassuringly. "Oh, don't worry about that," she said. "Here on Acceptance Avenue, we celebrate diversity and welcome everyone with open arms." With Bella's encouragement, the hedgehog family ventured out of their burrow and began to explore their new surroundings. They met the other animals of Acceptance Avenue, from the chatty squirrels to the playful chipmunks, and soon they felt right at home. But as the days passed, Bella noticed something troubling. The other animals seemed hesitant to interact with the hedgehogs, their smiles forced and their conversations awkward. Determined to make a difference, Bella gathered her friends and organized a neighborhood picnic on Acceptance Avenue. Everyone brought their favorite foods to share, from juicy berries to crunchy carrots, and they gathered around a big oak tree to enjoy each other's company. As the afternoon sun dipped below the horizon, Bella stood up and addressed the crowd. "I want to thank each and every one of you for coming together today," she said, her voice ringing out with sincerity. "On Acceptance Avenue, we may be different, but we are all part of the same community. Let's embrace our differences and celebrate our similarities, for that is what truly makes us special." The other animals nodded in agreement, their hearts filled with gratitude for Bella's wise words. From that day on, Acceptance Avenue became an even more welcoming place, where creatures of all kinds lived together in harmony, united by the bonds of friendship and acceptance. And Bella, with her kind heart and unwavering compassion, was hailed as a hero of Acceptance Avenue, a shining example of the power of acceptance and inclusion. In a quaint village nestled among rolling hills and whispering trees, there lay a winding path known as Trusty Trails. It was a path that led to adventure and discovery, a path where creatures of all kinds came together to explore the wonders of their world. One sunny morning, a curious fox named Felix set out on Trusty Trails, his tail wagging with excitement. He had heard tales of hidden treasures and magical creatures that lurked along the path, and he couldn't wait to see them for himself. As Felix trotted along Trusty Trails, he met a timid rabbit named Rosie, who was hesitantly making her way down the path. "Hello there," said Felix, his voice gentle with kindness. "Are you exploring Trusty Trails too?" Rosie nodded shyly. "Yes, but I'm a little scared," she admitted. "I've never been on an adventure like this before." Felix smiled reassuringly. "Don't worry, Rosie. I'll be right here beside you every step of the way. Together, we can overcome any obstacle that comes our way." With Felix's encouragement, Rosie's fear began to melt away, and soon they were laughing and playing together as they ventured deeper into the heart of Trusty Trails. But as they rounded a bend in the path, they came across a fallen tree blocking their way. Rosie's ears drooped with worry, and she looked to Felix for guidance. Felix surveyed the obstacle before them, his mind racing with ideas. "I have an idea," he said at last. "If we work together, we can move the tree and clear the path for everyone." And so, Felix and Rosie put their heads together and devised a plan. Felix used his strength to push the tree from one side, while Rosie dug her paws into the ground and pushed from the other side. With each push and shove, the tree slowly began to move, until at last it toppled to the ground with a soft thud. Felix and Rosie cheered triumphantly, their hearts swelling with pride. As they continued along Trusty Trails, Felix and Rosie encountered many more obstacles, from rushing rivers to steep cliffs. But with trust and teamwork, they overcame each challenge, growing closer with every step they took. And when they finally reached the end of Trusty Trails, they knew that their friendship was stronger than ever. For on Trusty Trails, they had learned that with trust and teamwork, anything was possible, and that true friendship could conquer even the greatest of obstacles.